الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين وبعد. I have to mention this because many people don't know who I am. My name is Jalal Abualrub, Jalal Abualrub, from Palestine, from the West Bank, from the city of Jenin. I am a Muslim first and foremost. So I'm a Muslim from Palestine. Allah blessed me over the years to translate or author close to 60 books so far, including a half of the great explanation of the meaning in the Quran, Tafsir ibn Kathir, and dozens of other books, including what I'm working on right now, today, the third edition of my book, Holy Wars, Crusades, Jihad. I wrote this book in America, published it in America after 9/11, a comparison of the rulings of war between the Old Testament, the New Testament, and the Quran and Prophet Muhammad's Sunnah traditions. Third edition is very important. It's coming soon. We will announce about the book when it's finished, hopefully very soon, Allah willing. Please check our website, islamlife.com, islamlife.com. We have a number of books there, and also we will announce about the book. We have the Jihad book, we have a YouTube channel, Islam Life. We have a Facebook also page, Islam Life. So I did work on a large number of books, and all thanks to Allah alone, helped with by my family, and also we produce thousands and thousands of articles all about Islam. This is my life. This is what I do. My mission is to explain Islam and defend Islam. Today is about both, explaining Islam and defending Islam. Let me start first by saying that the Times of Israel, a Zionist, what is it? Zionist website, blogs, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Zionist have been publishing posts or articles by a person called Zalghi Khan. People say he's a Muslim. I fail to find from which direction he's a Muslim. This man is a Zionist, worse than many Jews today who don't agree with Zionism or with what is going on in Gaza. So anyway, he wrote articles, and one of the articles touched my teacher, scholar Sheikh Al-Albani, and mentioned other stuff. Now the article is out. The Times of Israel, maybe they found that this is not good for them, or I have no idea, but they removed it. And in it, this man Zalghi Khan is saying things about a man who resides in the UK, Shamsi, Shamsi. He's a street shouter. I already spoke about him, about his way of conveying the knowledge of Islam. That's not a good place to go to, Hyde Park or other parks. I stood in Hyde Park when I was in Britain in 1978 and after that. And I quickly found out this is not a good way to convey the knowledge about Islam, but people keep interrupting you. And then you can't say a decent sentence without interruption or people shouting. That's what Shamsi does. He goes to there and the people shout at him. He shouts at them. It's not good. So I had 3 videos talking about this matter, explaining to Shamsi about the error of a statement he made. And people are telling me that he's active, calling to Islam. My thing was about a statement he made in which he said there is shirk polytheism everywhere in Palestine. Everywhere in Palestine. I explained to him this means there are mushrikeen polytheists everywhere in Palestine because one doesn't exist without the other. Now this Zalghi Khan, Zalgi, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's not intentional. So I'm going to say Zalghi because I'm told he's from Pakistan. I don't know. He looks like a Zionist to me from his writings. Anyway, so he has an article on the Times of Israel. blogs.timesofisrael.com. Is Madkhalism a friend of the state of Israel? Now he removed it, or they removed it. So I'm going to talk about what's in it. First, he calls Shamsi a senior scholar. No, he isn't. He is not a senior scholar. He's not a scholar. He is a Muslim who is trying to defend the religion according to his understanding. And the way he does the conveying leads quickly to making mistakes, like the one he made about Palestinians. Palestinians are Muslims. They don't have shirk everywhere, polytheism, and they don't have mushrikeen, polytheists everywhere. I explained in my response that polytheism doesn't exist without polytheists. You don't see groups of polytheistic ideas sitting around and then you say, what are you doing, polytheism? Well, we're looking for customers. It's the customers who come first and then they go into polytheism. It's a false notion. I am Palestinian. What he's saying is wrong. Palestine is like all Muslim countries. Like in all Muslim country, like in every Muslim country, they have groups of people who don't practice the religion properly, who have, and those who have really evil ideas, evil practices. But the majority of the Muslims are commoner Muslims, and we can only call them Muslims unless there is a certain group that advocates deviation from Islam, either in creed, which is the worst type, or in actions and statements. Then we have to be fair and say, well, in this area, yeah, they're Muslims. Let me fix this. There are Muslims in this area, but there are also aspects of polytheism, ideas, whatever. But not to say there is shirk everywhere. I haven't seen it. I'm a Palestinian, and I lived in 20 plus countries since 1978. And I grew up in Kuwait, and I haven't met so far. As you can see, I'm more than 60 years old. I haven't met a single Palestinian in my entire life. And I've been calling to the religion and writing, practicing how to call to the religion for decades. I started in 1984 calling to the way of the Prophet of Islam, to the Quran, the book of Islam, and to the Sunnah, practices of the Prophet of Islam, and the way the Prophet of Islam explained the religion to his companions. This is my mission. I started calling to it publicly in 1984. So I have never met so far any Palestinian who was defending, invoking dead people, worshipping graves, and these are aspects of polytheism. I explained to Shamsi and those who defended him and attacked me like I care. that the scholars of Islam, including one of the major scholars of Islam, Imam Ibn Taymiyyah, scholar Ibn Taymiyyah, Imam means scholar, who explained that those who invoke dead people, they're polytheists, they're mushrikun, and therefore when somebody says there is shirk everywhere in Palestine, which means there are mushrikeen everywhere in Palestine, and they invoke the dead, I do not support these people, then he is saying these people are not Muslims. I mean, everywhere there are people worshiping the graves. They don't have the time. Even with the groups that call for these practices that take one out of the religion of Islam, they're not the mainstream. They're found in Palestine, they're found in every Muslim country, more in other Muslim countries than in Palestine. Nothing good came from the Jewish occupation of Palestine. Nothing. Maybe one thing. I'm going to say it. Because they kept killing the Muslims, the Jews were expelled from Palestine by the Romans in the year 70, 71 AD. Never had any ties to Palestine, never owned anything. They never lived there until the early 1900s, when the Lord of Britain, Balfour, war criminal, now he's with Allah to answer for his crimes against humanity, against the Palestinians. He promised Palestine to the Jews. Jews had nothing to do with Palestine for centuries and centuries. So they started coming, killing. So the killing that started in Palestine started early on. The conflict is 106 years old. It's not 3 months old. It's not 4 months old. It's not since October the 7th, as the Western governments and media is trying to tell you. No, it started long. The Jews have been killing the Palestinians for a long time. So if there is one thing that came out of it that could be described as good, the Palestinians are busy being killed. They don't have time to go to the graves and invoke dead people. And this Shamsi is not a Palestinian. He doesn't know what he's talking about. It's a lie. I responded to it. It's a lie, perfect lie, and he should repent. He's not the topic today, or a part of the topic he is. So this Zalghi Khan wrote this article that Madkhalis, whatever it is, a friend of the state of Israel, and he used some things that, he put the picture of Shamsi and said that a senior Muslim scholar, he's not a scholar. I can guarantee you he's not a scholar. I call myself a student of knowledge, and I've dealt with so much knowledge and books than most people. I don't call myself a scholar. Scholar is a status for people who really have, knowledge, established knowledge in the religion. I'm a student of knowledge. I like this status, and because I keep acknowledging that my knowledge is still not there. I need to read more and defend the religion more and more. I'm having fun finding things in the religion that I didn't know before, teaching those things, or defending the religion. I thank Allah. He is the one who provided me with this time and effort, and he provided me with my family who helped me all the way. I haven't counted them, but the number of articles that Allah blessed me to write exceed 20,000. So what I'm saying, I'm not a scholar. Shamsi is not a scholar. We are students of knowledge, and he needs to start learning the religion seriously. You see, if you go to the park, start shouting at people, interrupting them, this is not knowledge. So I'm advising you, Brother Shamsi, I'm not going to say what you said about Palestine, about Algeria, where you came from, because I'll be ashamed to say that. The Muslims, in general, are good Muslims. The way of the Khawarij by the way, Mr. Zalghi Khan, who says any criticism of Israel is anti-Semitism. Really? and other articles, they say he's a Muslim. I doubt it. Well, anyway, so yeah, Shamsi, or Shamsi, you're listening to me. You're my brother. I'm not going to say anything more than what I just said. And I don't have time. I'm writing this book. I'm checking 4 other books and still completing a new book I just started. So I don't have time. But for the religion and its defense, I have time. Also, he said what he said in public, and we need to respond to what he said in public. Now, so Shamsi said there is shirk everywhere in Palestine, polytheism, which means there are polytheists everywhere in Palestine, at the time when the Jews are killing the Muslims of Palestine. Why would he say that at this time? I don't know. You see, the scholar that I call my sheikh, my teacher, is Al-Albani. Zalghi Khan mentioned Al-Albani in that article that now has been removed. That's my sheikh. I'm a minor student of Al-Albani. In that, I didn't meet him as much as many other students did, but I read his books before I met him. And I translated some of his books. When he used to visit us in Dubai, I translated tens and tens of lectures for him into English. So he is my sheikh. I haven't seen any Muslim in my lifetime more knowledgeable than Al-Albani. However, it is in our creed, Muslims, who follow the Quran and the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad, that there is no one is immune from making mistakes and errors. No one, period, except the prophets. Except the prophets. So if a scholar said something, he needs to bring evidence to what he said. One of the biggest scholars of Islam, Imam al-Dhahabi scholar, Imam means scholar, al-Dhahabi, said that everyone who says something about the religion needs to bring proof. That proof is either valid or not valid. So this is the religion, that the ones who are infallible are the words of Allah in the Quran and the Prophet Muhammad, because Allah gave him that strength that whatever he says in the religion is accurate. It came from Allah. So he doesn't make mistakes in delivering the religion. So my sheikh, everybody who came from the time of Muhammad, including his companions, until the day of judgment, made mistakes or will make mistakes, depending on when they're coming. There isn't any person after Muhammad who is immune from making errors and mistakes. So if Al-Albani, and he did, you see, I studied his books thoroughly, he made mistakes here and there. He's human, and whenever he is told about a mistake, he was humble enough to remove it or to mention about it, that I made a mistake here. And this is what we learned from him and from the other scholars of our time, notably Ibn Baz from Saudi and Ibn Uthaymeen from Saudi. These 3 were the major scholars of those who follow the Quran and Sunnah in our time. So my Sheikh Al-Albani, he made mistakes, but they ascribed to him something, and I'm not quite sure what Shamsi meant when he said, I saw what he said, if Jalal, I advised Jalal to read what Al-Albani wrote, what did he write? What did he say? Something like that, So I'm waiting. What is it that he said? He said the people in Palestine are polytheists, so that you can come in the middle of this slaughter and say, by the way, I don't support these people, because they're worshiping graves. What graves? What graves, man? What graves? What are you talking about? In other areas, maybe in Palestine, people are just being bombed. They have no time to worship other than Allah. Did you see the pictures of those places of worship being destroyed by the Jews? They're praying outside the people in the middle of all this killing and enjoying the prayer because they're thanking Allah for the test and being patient. You're calling these people. So Al-Albani said, of course not. He didn't say that. There is what Zalghi Khan calls a fatwa. Fatwa, even though in English it's translated as a religious verdict, it's actually an opinion. It's an opinion. A scholar talks about a topic, researches the evidence for or against, and then he mentions the evidence. And Al-Albani, just like Ibn Baz, Ibn Uthaymeen, and the scholars of before, the major scholars of Islam, are described by what the scholar of the meaning found in the Quran. I translated the half of his book, Ibn Kathir. It's in English with Darus Salam, Saudi publishing company. He said about his teacher, Ibn Kathir himself was a major scholar. His teacher was even bigger than him, Ibn Taymiyyah, a major scholar of Islam. He said, after he mentioned his biography, and in summary, Ibn Taymiyyah was a major scholar, or one of the major scholars. However, he made mistakes. See? However, his mistakes as compared to the correctness is like a drop of water to the sea, meaning the mistakes are few, and overwhelmingly he was saying some truthful things because of the evidence he brought. That's all. So Al-Albani rahimahullah, my Sheikh Bin Baz, I translated books for him. Ibn Uthaymeen, I did the same. I love them all, and I love all the scholars who quoted the Quran and Sunnah. So Zalghi Khan is mixing up stuff intentionally, which I doubt, maybe half and half, but mostly because he is ignorant. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I'll give you an example. In his article, he says that he hints to the idea that Al-Albani was a Madkhali. Madkhali is a term they give to a group of people. It doesn't exist. I've been saying to people for years, there is no Madkhalis. It's a group of people. And it's ascribed to a man who doesn't agree with sectarianism or separating from the Muslim nation by starting a group, whatever. His name is Sheikh Rabi' bin Hadi al-Madkhali. Madkhalis, that's the family name, originally from Yemen, and he's in Saudi. That Al-Albani was a Madkhali. He's hinting to that. What are you talking about, man? Whoever said that? What are you talking about? Sheikh Rabi' bin Hadi is a student of Sheikh Al-Albani, Muhammad Nasir al-Din Al-Albani. You don't call the teacher after the student. It's like those people in the West when they spoke about Ibrahim, Prophet Abraham. Abraham, the Jewish patriarch. Are you crazy? He never saw Judah or the Jews. They came after him by centuries. You don't call the descendants, you call the descendants, if you're a normal person, after their, ancestors. You don't call the ancestors after the descendants who came after them by centuries. But that's the West for you. When it comes to religion, they're trying their best to go around zero. Maybe, they can get something here and there, but it's usually zero. Anyway, so you can't call Al-Albani a Madkhali. There are no Madkhalis. Sheikh Rabi', like so many other scholars in our time, they're trying to defend the Sunnah. And can you hear me? Guys, I can't. I'm really not feeling well. And I'm busy working on these books, but I need to say this. Everybody makes mistakes, including Rabi' bin Hadi, Al-Albani, Ibn Baz, Ibn Uthaymeen, Ibn Taymiyyah, Ibn al-Qayyim, Ibn Kathir, even the companions of Muhammad, the best people of all time, as Prophet Muhammad described them in the hadith collected by the two foremost authentic collections of statements of Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, statement of the Messenger of Allah, Bukhari and Muslim. He said, Khairun nasi qarni, the best people are my generation. They make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. If you don't believe that, you have a major defect in your Islam. But where is the mistake here? First of all, there are no Madkhalis. And Al-Albani is not a Madkhali. You know, if there is anything called a Madkhali, Al-Albani is the teacher of Sheikh Rabi'. My Sheikh is Al-Albani too. Al-Albani died in 1999. He was close to 90 years old when he died, 1999. I was in the second line in his funeral janazah, and I was there. So he died 24 years ago, and he was in his 90s. How can Sheikh Rabi' still alive today? And we have many scholars who are alive today who have met Al-Albani, learned with Al-Albani. They consider him to be their Sheikh. So this is one thing. The second thing is the fatwa that this Zalghi man, and I'm not sure if he's ascribing it to Shamsi, because Shamsi challenged me, and I was waiting for him to tell me what is it that Al-Albani said that contradicts what I said, that people in Palestine are Muslims. You have areas here and there, they're Muslims in general, and that the way of the Khawarij rebels against the religion is to accuse entire communities of Muslims of not being Muslims. So I wanted him to change that and take it back, repent, say it clearly. I don't know if he did it. I did my duty. But they're talking about a fatwa Al-Albani made. So please be patient. I mean, I'm trying to finish all this in a few minutes. I'm trying. So Zalghi Khan says, Sheikh Al-Albani, the foremost respect Sunni Salafist has advocated the most famous judicial verdict that called for the removal of all Palestinians, including most of the terrorists, to be permanently removed from the West Bank. Zalghi Khan, what's wrong with you? I know you're writing for people who don't read their own book, but this is ridiculous because Al-Albani was one of a number of major scholars in our time. I mentioned Ibn Baz, Ibn Uthaymeen, Sheikh Muqbil, other scholars, and the scholars we have today are students of these major scholars. So he's not the only, and he's not the foremost respect. I thought he means respected. I'm not sure. This is what I have here. Sunni Salafist. Okay, I don't have time for this Salafist to talk about it. Salafi is one who calls to the Quran and Sunnah and the tradition of the Prophet and the meaning of the Quran and Sunnah that he taught to his companions. What can I say? This is the normal way. You follow Islam. Islam is the Quran and Sunnah. You follow the Quran and Sunnah. And according to the understanding of those who conveyed the Quran and Sunnah. Period. Anyway, that's what we need also. Zalzi Khan, to talk about Salafist, has advocated the most famous to who? Most people never heard of Al-Albani or of this fatwa that they're talking about. Judicial verdict. Opinion. Fatwa is opinion, it's not a verdict. The ultimate truth and the final authority is with the Quran of Allah and the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad. That's it. That called for the removal of all Palestinians, including most of the terrorists. I guarantee you, you're going to work very, very hard to find where Al-Albani mentioned terrorists, this word, ever. To remove all Palestinians? No. Including most of the terrorists? You mean to leave some of them? That's what Albani said. Move most of the terrorists. All the Palestinians, just leave some terrorists to be permanently removed from the West Bank. You're a liar. Zalzi Khan, you are a liar. You are a liar. Let me spell it. Kaf, the, alif, ba. I spelled this in Arabi, which means a liar. You see, the fatwa he's talking about, I have a close connection to it. When I was in Dallas, I was teaching there. And at the time, we had a conference where some of the Salafist teachers came. I'm not sure if the conference was in Dallas or somewhere else, whatever. So I attended it. Maybe it was in Dallas. Anyway, so I attended it. And one of the teachers who came, who has a connection with Al-Albani, I asked him a specific question. Al-Albani was over the phone, and they were asking him questions. He was answering. Because he's such a scholar, speaks at depth. For 1.5 hours, we could get only 2 questions to him. That he answered only 2 questions. So much knowledge in there. Anyway, so I walked all the way to the, what do you call this table? Dais, or what do you call it? It's a table. Don't dais thing, just table it. I went there. I wrote a question. I told to the guy, I know him, he knows me. Not that much. But anyway, I said, ask the Sheikh, do you love to die as a martyr, shaheed? And that Sheikh told me, this is, of course he does, I said, well, I need that. So, and he did. And Al-Albani said, oh, I ask Allah that I die as a martyr, shaheed. I ask Allah. You know why I asked that question? Is because the so-called fatwa, I heard it on a tape, and I was still in Dallas. I was teaching. People were coming to my classes from all kinds of groups. I like to bring people, and we were studying books of Ibn Taymiyyah and other scholars. So one of my students who was studying with me, didn't study that much, but he was, I could say he was my student. He belongs to one of those Islamist groups. I don't want to mention the name. And they had started a magazine and in Dallas and in America. And one time he brought one of the magazines. It was, I think, a monthly. Anyway. So he brought magazine number 4, 5, whatever. It wasn't a long time since they started. And the major headline, Al-Albani says to the Palestinians, abandon Palestine and leave it for the Jews. I got angry. I said, you're a liar. I said, this is a lie. What's wrong with you people? Their enmity to the Sunnah is clear. It's clear. And I don't want to mention the name because that's another topic. I don't want to start here and there. I already did that a few times here, but anyway. So I said, you're a liar. I heard what Al-Albani said. Al-Albani didn't say that. He didn't say, call for the removal of all Palestinians permanently and leave some terrorists there. This is garbage. Let me spell it for you. Garbage. R-U-B-B-I-S-H. Got it? So I told him, I got angry with him, and I think I didn't allow him to come to I said, you're a deceiver. So somebody had called Al-Albani for, he wants to trap Al-Albani into saying something because they hate the scholars who call to the Sunnah. And Al-Albani was at that time unbelievable man. He spread knowledge of the Sunnah all over, just like his fellow brothers, Ibn Baz, Ibn Uthaymeen. He wrote about the analysis of statements of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Muhammad, the messenger of Allah. Hundreds of books he wrote. Anyway, so they wanted to trap him to say something so they can slander him, so people don't learn with him. Now, Al-Albani was asked a question about a specific situation. Somebody says to him, and by the way, Al-Albani, of course, from the name, he's from Albania, and his background is that he was born in Albania. They lived in Albania for 16 years, as much as I know. His father was a teacher also of the Hanafi school of thought in Albania. So when the communists took over Albania, many Muslims left Albania, including the father and family of Al-Albani. He was 16, 14, 15. I don't remember exactly. And they moved to Syria. So they moved, they made hijra, they immigrated from the land where the communists took over for fear of their religion, for fear for their religion. See? So that's the background Al-Albani came from. So he asks Al-Albani, in Palestine, and he was talking about his area, or he was talking about the area controlled by the Jews before 48, it doesn't matter. So the name Palestine came. The Jews are preventing us from learning the religion, practicing the religion, preventing our women from wearing the hijab. What should we do? He said, if this is the situation, then do hijra, immigrate, to safeguard your religion. That's, you see, a specific question, and he gave the specific answer, which is accurate, 100%. He's not saying to all the Palestinians leave permanently. He said, if there is an area where you live and people are oppressing you, you can't practice the religion, then immigrate to an area where you can practice the religion. So he said, if this is what you're saying, and he was a liar, but Al-Albani didn't know. So he told him, then make hijra from Palestine. If this is the situation, he said, leave Palestine. And Al-Albani said, well, which is more honorable to Muslims, Palestine or Mecca? He said Mecca. When Prophet Muhammad left Mecca, and immigrated to Medina because he was being oppressed, him and his companions in Mecca. They couldn't practice the religion, many of them, and it was a horrible persecution. So they left. So he told them, which is more honorable, Mecca or Jerusalem, Al-Quds? I say Jerusalem so people can understand. The name is Al-Quds. He said, again, asked him, live in Palestine. He said, listen, if this is the situation as you asked, then immigration is legislated, so you can come back with the armies that will conquer Palestine and take it from the Jews. حتى ترجع مع الجيوش الفاتحة الإسلامية الفاتحة. This is not the exact words, but this is, what he said. So leave until you come back with the Muslim armies that will take back Palestine from the Jews. Zalzi, he didn't say all Palestinians should be removed from Palestine. No, he didn't. Including most of the terrorists. At that time, the description terrorist wasn't that famous. Most of them. To be permanently removed from the West Bank? What are you talking about? No, he didn't. He didn't. That man lied to him. He gave an answer. And this concept of hijra is from the Quran. It's found in the Sunnah of the Prophet, but it's according to the situation. Now, you have millions of Palestinians in Palestine. Millions. Right now, more than 2 million in Gaza, more than 3 million in the West Bank. So that's a total of more than 5 million. I'm sorry, I'm not feeling well. So that's more than 5 million. Where do you want him to go? I mean, if you're saying Al-Albani told you to leave here and leave it to the Jews, which he didn't say leave it to the Jews. He said, if this is the case, you come back with the army. Where do you want him to go? I guarantee you, if Israel, the state of Israel, maybe half of the Jews are not even Israelites, but the state of Israel, if they want a total war in the area, then they should try to expel the Palestinians from Gaza to Egypt, from the West Bank to Syria, Lebanon, and Jordan. And those countries will fight. And I'm not joking. They're not going to take 5 million Palestinians. They're not going to take 5 million Palestinians. Like some of those areas of Jordan, we have enough Palestinians here. We're not taking anymore. They don't have the ability to take more anyway, and they won't. You want to push them to Sinai? Egypt will say, "Hey, we have 100 million people here, 2 million Palestinians. Thank you." It's not going to happen. So even if Al-Albani said, "All of you leave," and all of you, where are you going to go? They don't have a place to go. Al-Albani didn't say that. Don't lie. Don't lie. Don't lie. That's a specific answer for a specific question that didn't exist in Palestine, still doesn't. As bad as the Jews are, they are not preventing the Palestinians from praying and for their women to cover, like the honorable women they are, to cover. They are not. So people are practicing their religion. I'll give you a hint. All these places of worship that they bombed in Gaza and the West Bank, there were people praying. So you're praying, okay, we'll send you directly to God since you're praying to God. That's what they did. I mean, I'm using the word God as a figure of speech. It's Allah. Anyway, as a figure of speech, because this is what the Westerners, Christians know the Creator by. So where are they going to go? Even if he said that, he didn't say that. He said, you fear for your religion, you make hijra. But he didn't say remove all the Palestinians from Palestine and permanently. Well, if you have rubbish here, you speak rubbish. Do you want me to spell rubbish? Garbage. See? It's a lie. Even if Al-Albani said it, I'm going to say it now. I'm trying to finish, but what can I do? Even if Al-Albani said that, we can't do what he's saying. We can't. Let me put some other, areas in the discussion. Okay, that's the word, the discussion. The word was running away and I found it, the discussion. Palestine, Kashmir. Kashmir is under brutal Hindu occupation. People killed them. They stole their lands. They stole their farms and they oppressed them not to practice their religion. So you want the Kashmiris to leave Kashmir for the Indians and leave? To immigrate from Kashmir and leave Kashmir to the Indians, to the Hindus? What about the Muslims in India? They're killed every year by the thousands, especially if one of them wanted to have beef. They kill a cow, they come kill many Muslims. And the Indian government now, the fanatic Hindu rat worshippers, they want to change India into a Hindu state. That's worse. It means that you cannot practice your religion as they did in practice. They destroyed so many masajid, places of worship, killed so many Muslims. So you want the 200 million Muslims in India to leave? To go where? China, under the very, very, very brutal communist leadership there, those animals. You have 2 million Muslims in China in concentration camps. Where are they going to go? They can't go. The Chinese are so devoid of humanity that even those who ran away from them, they try to bring them, they pressure other areas, send this guy, that guy, and that guy. So that's Kashmir. Now, when Afghanistan was occupied by the largest army in the world, the Russian army, they had 60,000 tanks, the Russians, far more nuclear weapons than America. They still have more nuclear weapons. Airplanes, the hundreds. They went to a country, Afghanistan, that is not advanced in matters of life. It wasn't. It wasn't. And they invaded. So Al-Albani ibn Baz and ibn Uthaymeen said, go fight and help your brothers against the Russians, the communists. I did. I left everything and I went there in the early era when the fight was against the Russians. Then I left. In case you asked before, soon after Bin Laden came, I said to everybody there, I'm not staying here. I can talk about it later. My friends and family have been pressuring me to talk about my experience in Afghanistan, but anyway. So did these scholars say to the Afghanis, you can't fight these people. These are communists. They're going to destroy your religion. Did the Albani say, well, my experience from Albania, the communists come, the religion is destroyed. Leave Afghanistan, go where? Pakistan? They can't go all fit in Pakistan. Iran? Those mullahs in Iran, they're not even Muslim. They're not going to accept Sunni Muslims to go there. Where? I'll give you another example. I'll try my best not to make it longer than this, but it is necessary. This character, Shamsi, is from Algeria. We know Algeria and the connection to France. France thought first they occupied Morocco, Algeria, and Tunis when France was a superpower in the world. So the Algerians, now in the 20th century, in the first half, they were fighting very, very hard to take back their land. The French thought that this is us, this is ours. We're staying here, we're not leaving here ever. And they killed 1 million Algerians. Did the scholars of the time say, well, you lost 1 million Algerians to fight the French? Why don't you leave Algeria and go to other areas? Where are they going to go? Tunis? They can't fit there. Morocco? Where are they going to go? You see? So there is a difference between a Shamsi standing in shouting match against saying the Palestinians have shirk everywhere. Well, Algeria too has shirk everywhere, and we call them Muslims, not the ones who commit shirk. The general Muslim public in Algeria, they're just Sunni Muslims with pockets, maybe strong movements of those who invoke dead people, just like any other area. And it's a shame. Invoking dead people is polytheism, destroys Islam completely. The people who do it, they're not Muslim. So I advise Shamsi to, I would feel ashamed that someone like Zalghi Khan, the Zionist, to use my words to come claim this rubbish about Al-Albani. Al-Albani never said, leave, remove all Palestinians. He was talking about that man in his area, and he was lying. And the topic was hijra. And hijra, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Prophet of Islam, left Mecca, the dearest town to Allah and to him, his own hometown, and made hijrah to Medina. Would the Islamists of today come and say, Muhammad told the Muslims to abandon Mecca and leave it to the polytheists? Would you say that? Yeah, Muslim, would you say that? Of course not. Unless you want to depart Islam and become something else. Absolutely not. But it was a tactical move because 8 years after he had to, emigrate from Mecca, him and his companions, they came back with the army and conquered Mecca. Mecca is still with Islam and Muslims until today, inshallah, forever. It's the same thing what Al-Albani said. Remember the situation with the Prophet. There is too much oppression for your religion. Go to another area, then come back with the conquering army. Now, the Palestinians, if you tell them, leave Palestine now because of all the killing, you can come back with the Arab armies that are going to come and free you and defeat the Jews. They say, oh, we heard this story before. 1948, before, after. The Arabs kept telling them, no, just come here. Come here. We're going to go there and we're going to finish those Jews off and kick them out. And the Jews kicked the Arabs out and kicked them again and kicked them again and again and again. The Jews are a minor power. What they have is fanatical support from the Christians of the West, who gave them the kinds of weapons that if you give to a tribe in the middle of Asia or Africa that were not exposed to so-called civilization, give them this kind of, they become a superpower. They depend on America for the money, for the weapons, and on Western Europe. So the Jews defeated the Arabs. Now, an added point. So some of the people who, like this Shamsi and other people, at this time, a Muslim should feel very bad pain in the heart for seeing tens of Muslims or tens of thousands of Muslims being killed, tens of thousands injured. 90% of the people of Gaza have left their homes to safe areas. When they get there, the Jews come and bomb them. They destroyed. Look at the images. Even Western media, they have the images. Look at the images. You feel pain here. The same pain you feel for the people of Kashmir, for Burma. That's another example. Burma, under the Buddhists are criminal. The monks are the ones who are leading all these, the army, Myanmar. And they went to villages of Muslims, they killed, raped, and expelled most of them. And there's still some there. Are you going to tell them, under this condition, you should immigrate? Where are they going to go? Bangladesh said, we're not taking anymore. It's the same situation there. Even worse in Myanmar. Please read what's happening to Muslims in Myanmar. In India too, Kashmir. Now the situation in Gaza is on our mind, in our hearts. And it doesn't matter what the Jews do. They will not break the will of the Palestinians to break free from those whom Paul in the New Testament called the killers of prophets. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us knowledge in the religion, make us among the righteous. So Al-Albani didn't say that stuff. And Shamsi made a mistake, and others that I don't have time now to talk about. He needs to come clean and say, I seek refuge with Allah. I repent to Allah from what I said. What I said means that there are polytheists everywhere in Palestine. I'm not going to support these people. He said, after he said that worshiping graves and all that stuff, I made a mistake. I take back all that. I support my Muslim brothers and sisters in Palestine. They are Muslims. They are Muslims. And I seek refuge with Allah from the Jews and their supporters, using my words to support their slaughter of Muslims in Gaza. Wallah, there is a lot more I can say, but I just wanted to make this video here available, and please take the time to listen. There are more topics. We'll talk about them later. Jalal Abualrub from Palestine, from the West Bank, from Jenin. Just 2 weeks ago, 3 of my family, Abualrub, were killed in Jenin. A doctor who just graduated and was helping in the hospital, he just shot him, and his brother. And a 9-year-old Palestinian. He was shot. Where is the humanity of these Western people? Today I was watching that event there. They have to choose the cutest dog. They're going back and forth with dogs that look awful. Really. Dogs are not clean. This is what they have on their mind. What people are using the weapons from their government, using their name to go kill people all over the world. Can we at least say that stop this killing? The Palestinians are not leaving. I promise you. I promise you, they're not leaving. They will die there because they heard the story so many times. And once they left to other areas, surrounding countries, they never came back. I ask Allah to give us, the Muslims in Palestine, in Kashmir, in Burma, in China, in India, all over the world, to give them the patience and to support and aid them. And He is the most generous. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin.